Funchess last night, Jason?
He did a great job. First time playing in 2 years. There's very few players, in the history of the NFL that would have been out for truly 2 years, and then came back. And the biggest thing for me, was just the mental part of it, hearing our call, knowing the call, and doing your job. And for the most part, he did a tremendous job, on the snaps that were in there, showed his physical upside. And it's been there all throughout training camp. I think he's been winning his one-on-ones, and he just took the practice habits to the field and did a really good job. So I was very pleased with him last night.
Jason, so you spend all spring and early part of the summer, working with the guys you have. So what happens when, a guy like Randall Cobb is, brought back into the mix and, basically, the first week of camp?
Yeah, that was, when it happened, it was a surprise to me, but I was, happy about it. He's kind of a guy I've studied. I was, coaching wideouts at other teams, like, man, look at this Cobb guy, So I've always watched him. I'm like, man, look at the way he plays, just his fire and energy and passion. I would always say, to younger guys on other teams, like, this is a guy you want to emulate, to see his success. And then, we sign him and bring him in, and I've never met the guy before. In the last 2 weeks, he's grinded. I'm talking about work. He's the first one in, and been studying the playbook with me an extra hour, and then doing special teams, getting some more time, and then he would stay late, and then he would meet with Aaron. So in about 2 weeks, he's pretty much got caught up with the playbook. So it's been great. He's great in the room. He's been great with me. I know he's really excited to be back here. He calls it, coming back home, basically. And, I think he's one of those guys who doesn't have a agenda, like I need to take this guy's spot or take his reps away. He's, hey, whatever I can do to help us win a championship here. And I think that's, towards the end of your career, that's where a lot of guys mature to, and they decide, I've had the stats, I've had the numbers, but I want to win this thing, So, and that's kind of his mindset right now. I think, and he told me if he didn't have a catch in a game, he wouldn't be mad as long as we're getting the W's, and he truly feels that way. It's not something that people just say. So everything with him has been awesome,
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is just my dumb brain, but do Quiz's hands look better to you from last year, too?
People were talking about that the other day. They're like, man, I almost feel like, he hasn't dropped the ball, And I'm like, well, we always keep track of drops. But with him, I think it's just confidence in our system, and confidence in himself. So when you have both those, sometimes the playbook, but you're still trying to figure out yourself. He's really confident right now. He's playing at a high level. He's in attack mode at all times. And typically when you're confident and you trust yourself, things just, start going in the direction that you want. And that's what I see with him. And he's worked at a lot of things, that he wanted to get better at, as opposed to kind of pushing those away. He's bought into being like, the saying that, hey, whatever my weakness was, I'm going to make it my strength. And he's bought into that type of like coaching. So I think, he's done a great job. I'm really pleased with him.
Jason, what are those things? Help me understand him as a player, because the guy leads the NFL in yards per catch. He is a fantastic downfield threat. And then and tell me if I'm being unfair, but there's an inconsistency to his game in maybe the intermediate part of the field. So what are those things that you really want to take and make into a strength?
Yeah, so just with him, we always do off-season point of attack tapes, and I just told him, there's a phase to Devante's game where he played basketball his whole life, right? And his ability to go forward, but also left and right at the same time. And Marquez was a track guy and a great one, and he can fly, right? So DBs are, typically play off on him, or, he can try to get on top, so they play him different. But there's that ability to get on your insteps that we talk about, and just being able to go at a guy and then suddenly be gone in left or right direction, not just on top of him, So you really have to work at it. Everybody's gifted different ways, and he can run, and he's had those home run plays, but then it's just putting everything together to make yourself, like I said, if there's a weakness, you make it a strength, but you really got to work on those things in the offseason and hone in on it, And I think he's done a great job, and everything that our staff has asked. He blocks well. He's a team-first guy, and then, some of those things you guys might not see, but now he's trying to put it all together. I think, in his third year of the system, he just, like I said, he's playing with great confidence, and, he's done an awesome job.
This might seem like a silly question considering it's Devante, but he's dropped some passes, whether it's 11 on 11 or individual drills. Is that a concern? How do you get him back on track? He dropped like one pass all of last season.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you try to look at the drops. You know, what were the reason for the drops if they happened in practice or in the game? Was it hands underneath? Was it lack of eye concentration, or why did it happen? You know, you just missed time a ball. You know, and I think if I went back to last year's training camp, we charted him. I think he might have had 3 or 4 drops all last year's training camp. First couple of days here for 5 days, I think he didn't have any. He was on fire, catching everything. So it was a good start to camp, you know, and then maybe 1 or 2 days you have him. I don't freak out about drops. You know, I know that we hit, you know, try to get at least 100 catches in every day, if not more, at all different angles, and keep working on things. And, you know, you try to work on your timing and just every day, just, you know, catch balls, you know, and eventually you hope you get to the point where in the game it's just like practice, and you saw the ball before, and then you make the catch, and it's easy for you, you know. So you know, I haven't really, you know, honed in on that and said, oh, it's more this year than last year if I was looking and keeping track. But you know, I mean, Tay's a pro. I think he knows his work ethic, when he needs to be ready on the field, you know, coming here whenever his time is called.
Jason, I asked J.O. this in terms of Robert Tonyan. 2 years ago, Alan Lazard didn't even make the roster coming out of camp.
Yeah.
And now you're holding him out of a preseason game. In what ways have you seen his game develop, and what, especially given the trajectory he was on last year before the injury, what are you kind of looking for from him this year?
Yeah, you're right, man. It was like, you know, whenever he first got here, you know, I think he came from, you know, Jackson or whatever, and he was, you know, bulking up, and teams didn't know what they wanted him, maybe a tight end, maybe a bigger, you know, H-back. So when he got here, he's been a pro's pro in every which way, the way he works in the weight room, the way he works on and off the field, and done everything you've asked. And like you said, his trajectory is just every single day I feel like he's gotten better and taken that step, you know, for him. And I love the kid. I think everybody around the building does. And, you know, he's just like a joy to be around. He's competitive, fiery, and you know, he's always had a chip on his shoulder, and that's what I think has made him different than some other guys who come through in the league in the same spot. Like, he literally is almost like pissed off every day when he puts a helmet on when he walks across the white line. It's like on a mission, and no one's stopping me. And he's violent and physical, and I think he's thinned down probably like 15 pounds from Jacksonville, and he watches what he eats, you know, and you see just the muscle build to him and the vascularity and everything like that. He's just honed in on it, and once again, he feels comfortable in his own skin. And he knows what he's good at, but above all, he's a team-first guy. And our staff loves him, and I think our locker room has really bought into the guy as well. And so, yeah, he's been awesome.
Let's do one more before we go to Zoom.
Jason, I know he's banged up now, but we've talked about how he had a productive offseason, and I think he got off to a good start with Jawan.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him, and how important is it for him and, you know, EQ and those guys battling for maybe that last spot to just get back on the field?
Yeah, Jawan, you're right. He's been awesome. I think just he's been playing faster, you know, and I don't know if it's because knowledge of the playbook or just trusting what we're looking for. You know, when he first was here, it was a little bit more of, you know, a lot of movements and, you know, all that stuff, where now he's just taking angles on guys and using his feet and using his speed and his talents and creating separation. But he's also learned the playbook. You know, I knew he got to play last year in the Jacksonville game and went in there, and you could just see he wasn't as comfortable as he is now. I think our system does take a while, you know, if you've never been in it, you know, before, to try to fully grasp everything. And now he feels comfortable playing all positions and did an awesome job. Like you said, I think from last year to now, he's done just a tremendous job, and it's all on him. I mean, he's put in the work, and, you know, we're really, really happy with him.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Yep, just one in here. Steve McGarty.
Malik had a handful of catches last night. I was just wondering what caught your attention about him on the tape, and just what kind of camp he's had thus far.
Yeah, Malik, you know, third year in the system, you know, and I could tell last night it kind of clicked for him, where he felt a lot more comfortable, you know, running the routes and playing fast. And, you know, we always talk about not blinking, and he kind of just played fast last night and did a good job. You could see, even after when he caught a ball, you know, he would catch a ball before, you could tell he's just running back to the huddle like, oh, man, I made a catch in the NFL, where, you know, he had a little bit more juice and a little bit more energy, you know, signaling for first down or spinning the ball. So you could just see he started to become, you know, himself. And the one thing that, like, you know, a couple of guys have hit on is our receivers are really involved in blocking. And you watch the tape, and if you were to watch all his plays, plays. He was putting his hands on people and being physical and finishing, and did a really, really good job, you know, on our run solutions, you know, whether we're throwing a bubble or something. I mean, he was taking his DB and driving him back. And then also in the run game, just like I said, there was another level that I could see mentally. He kind of just flipped that switch. And it was kind of the first time I felt that with him, you know, when he's been on the game field, to take those practice habits to the game. So it was a really good night for him. And, you know, we were all kind of smiling on the sideline, like I said, after he made that big catch and tried to get the crowd pumped up, because he's been such a quiet, laid-back guy and hadn't really said much. So I was really happy for him to kind of, you know, reap those rewards of all the hard work.